You know what, James? I was thinking we've come to the end of the season. You know, it's end of season 13. Yeah, it's very sad, but in the great words of Brandon Flowers, you've got to remember while everyone's lost, the battle is won. For all these things that we have done.
The latest pop culture news with your hosts, James and Matt. Welcome to This Week in Metropolis.
Yeah.
And here we are, rocking and a rolling to our end. But basically,
yeah. And to the viewers who can see me, this nearly didn't happen. Although it's even a pre-record, it nearly didn't happen. As you may or may not realise, this isn't live, unfortunately, tonight because we can't do tomorrow night. But we're filming the night after the weekend before. Let's call it that. And poor old man Steele over here nearly missed the pre-record as well. I was a little bit sleepy. A little bit of sleepyhead. Putting one of my kids to sleep, fell asleep. Wife had to wake me up. That was lucky.
As they were in Wayne's World, you were partied out, weren't you? I think is the thing.
Well, I think partied out is starting to become a regular thing for me whenever I go on a night out now. Apart from, we saw each other last week. That was a late night, but I wasn't drinking. It's the drink that does it. It's the drink that kills you. Well, it doesn't kill me,
exactly.
But
not yet, anyway.
Not yet. No, not this either. Oh my god.
But anyway, James, enough of the teasing. Tell us what you were doing.
We hoped that you would be able to join us as we had one of our fellow friends drop out, but we went to me, Question Mark, one of his friends, and another friend, Ryan, who does the music for Question Mark. We went to Indie Sleaze in Finsbury Park, which was the after party to some extent of the Pulp gig, who are also playing at Finsbury Park. The night, let's call it, started a lot earlier than Indie Sleaze, which kicked off at 11 p.m. and then finished at 4 a.m. But I'm pleased to say we made it all the way till 3, I think. But by then, the Indie Sleaze event started kind of emptying out anyway. So we were there pretty much till the end, I would say. But it was epic. It was just an all-round epic. We went to a brewery beforehand, which, mate, you would have absolutely loved, called Two Tribes, which we managed to get on the guest list because Ryan knew someone there. And that was from about 5:30 in the afternoon. So we were solidly drinking from 5:30 till 3 in the morning.
Jeez.
What I have to tell you, I'll talk about Indie Sleaze in a minute, but my new favourite thing from nights out, and this stemmed from a couple of weeks ago. I just went for a few beers with a friend locally, and we got bikes. Like the hire bikes you can get, they're called Beryl bikes in Norfolk. They're like Boris bikes in London. I'm sure there's other names from all over. We got bikes back, and my mate Kev, who I went for a few beers with, filmed his journey after I got home. He lives probably another 10 minutes on from me. He filmed his journey just randomly talking to himself for the duration of the rest of that journey, and then sent it to me the next morning. It was the funniest video I've ever seen in my life. And he said to me on my night out, make sure you film another video and send it to me. I done 3, and watching them back the next day, I was literally in tears because it almost, there's nothing better than after
of humour, tears of humour.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing better than a night out afterwards, like the next day, where you're scrolling through the pictures and you're going, oh yeah, cool, remember that. Filming yourself, in the nicest way, clean, keep it clean. Filming yourself talking absolute nonsense almost fills in the blanks of the bits that you don't remember. You know, there's them bits where you always go, I can't remember how I got to the next place.
Yeah.
That's the bit that I pretty much filmed from there to there. Oh my God. I'll have to show you it next time we see each other. But it was the funniest thing.
More than anything, I'm impressed that you can ride one of those scooters, because I was talking about this on that
We had
same
the
night out
bikes.
we were at.
We had the bikes.
Oh, right. So you're actually sitting on a
I didn't
because
do
I was
scooter.
thinking, like, the scooters, just trying to ride a normal scooter is a challenge enough. I think standing on one of these electric ones, I'd kill myself.
Yeah. I mean,
let alone being drunk.
The bikes were a challenge, don't get me wrong, because it was still a good solid, cycle from probably for about 10, 15 minutes. Little did I know, I mean, I'm going back 2-3 weeks now, but little did I know that you have to, or you shouldn't have to, but you should put them bikes in the barrel bays, because there are spots all around. I don't know if you've got them where you are, but there's spots where all of a sudden you'll see a load of them, almost like you would at school. There's all the bikes. I didn't know that, and I pretty much just got off at the end of my road,
dumped it in the gutter,
left it on the corner. Took me about 10 minutes to work out how to switch it off, right? And it charged me 13 quid. I thought I should have got a cab, right?
Yeah.
Kev got home. I was already long home and asleep. He texted me saying, how do I lock it and turn it off? He didn't know how. Then I got a text about half an hour later saying, I've just got out of bed to go and find the bike because I've only just realised how to turn it off. Because otherwise it just keeps charging you. So he got home, got into bed, and then thought, rubbish. Good on him.
That's like madness.
But anyway, going back to Indie Sleaze, so you actually explained to me and Mark after last week's show. Obviously, we had Mark on. If you haven't watched it already, go check it out. Check out all the back catalogue. It's been a great series.
Watch all 100-something videos.
Yeah, do every single one. It's great.
Some time.
But you actually told us probably more in detail about Indie Sleaze. For the viewers and the listeners that aren't familiar, how would you describe it in a nutshell?
It's sort of a bit of a trend that came up over like lockdown, and it's focusing on the period between sort of year 2000 and 2010 of music. It's like primarily pre-smartphone parties, and it's like covers the Strokes and the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and like Franz Ferdinand, that sort of era of indie music, but also dance music like Justice and that around that sort of time as well. But it's very influenced, like the nights out were very hedonistic and lots of people in neon and like 80s influenced clothing and that sort of very stylish too.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, and there's lots of that, if you search Indie Sleaze on Instagram, there's an account called Indie Sleaze.
Yeah.
It's because it was pre-smartphone, people didn't really care. So that's what it's all about, just having a good time and not worrying what people think.
And that was exactly the sort of vibe. It was brilliant, and you're spot on. As you know, Matt, I wore my new pair of Vans. I'd never had a pair of Vans before. Nice. My feet were killing me. So
I was going to say, how did you get on with Vans?
I mean, I love them. They're great, but my feet were killing me the next day.
I've owned a few pair of Vans in my life, and I've got some at the moment I hardly wear. They look so cool, but to me, they're the most uncomfortable shoes in the world.
Yeah,
for some reason.
They're probably up there with Converse, I reckon, for uncomfortable. If you're going to like spend a long amount of time in a, don't go on like a long walk or anything like that.
No.
And I think I can't. Well, I didn't count. That'd be silly. But my smartwatch told me how many steps I'd done over the kind of Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Over 30,000 steps.
It that's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
So you burnt off all the calories of the alcohol, basically, is what you're thinking with that.
Yeah. But it was brilliant. It was incredible music. It took me back in a weird sort of way because I remember going to indie gigs when we were younger down in Romford in Essex.
Yeah.
And you almost kind of forget about kind of, like you said, it's a very unique kind of period and style of kind of indie music. And there was quite a lot of songs, certainly with the first DJ, that there was quite a few that I'd probably either heard of or knew a bit of, but they weren't like the kind of big commercial songs.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they'd play like an absolute banger, like an Arctic Monkeys song from the first album or whatever, and everyone just went mental. Second half, I would say, was a bit more commercial. The second DJ, but yeah, all in all, just brilliant. Great venue, the garage in Finsbury Park, brilliant.
Is that the one where it's? But I'm going back a long while. The garage I remember had a stage that had like a low top to it. Is the only way I can describe it. I think that was the garage.
It was very dark, and I was very drunk. But it was wicked because we were right by the front as well, so the DJs were right there. Mark fell over, spilt a whole pint over himself. Brilliant. There was one point, Matt, where
great party.
I had a beer in one hand, I think. I can't even remember if I had a beer in that place because I was so drunk. But the lads were getting me waters as well. And I've got the DJs behind me, the railings behind me, and I'm like, yeah. I got the water and just poured it on my head.
Nice.
Just because I could. So,
just because you could. Exactly.
We could. So...
Well, let's hope they do more Indie Sleaze gigs. And
mate,
then
next time you're coming, that's what I'm saying.
We're there, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, on a music-related note,
yes.
Not often on the show, and I probably should, to be honest. I mean, we've talked about bits and pieces like the art and that, and I do the music for the show. However, I've got a lot of music on Spotify now, and I've been sort of purposely digging out all the tracks I've finished and that, and I'm getting them out there, and there are some that are coming out in the future as well. But on the site that I use to do it, there are analytics, and it tells you a bit like we can with this podcast. You can see who's listening and when they're listening and stuff like that. The thing that really surprised me, my top country in terms of listenership.
Shall I
take a guess? Yeah, have a guess. See where you think that would be.
Is it in Europe?
No.
Okay. Is it in Africa?
No.
Ooh. Not Australia.
No.
Go on then, hit me.
Peru is my...
Of course it is. That was my next guess.
Exactly, which is really funny. I logged in, and I don't get a huge amount of streams, but in particular, that like this one particular song, which isn't under the name of King Porteous, it's my music I used to do in the noughties actually, under the name of Lichette de Maison, the house cat. Roughly translates to, but it's one of those songs, and it seems like it was because you can, all my stuff's on TikTok and on Instagram and stuff like that, so you can add it to a video. It seems like this song was added to a reel on Instagram in Peru.
Wow.
And had a few thousand views of it, which is nuts.
You're big time in Peru, mate.
I'm huge in Peru. Number 2 country, even weirder, Guatemala. So, it's just weird.
Ooh, Guatemala.
Guatemala.
That sounds like Guatemala.
Yeah. So next, I think the next season for Twin, we need to go to Peru.
Yeah, do a live show.
I'll do a gig. Like they'll meet me at the airport, I reckon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny when I look at the kind of stats on where our listeners are coming from, but yeah, nothing as exotic as Guatemala or Peru. Guatemala. Where is Guatemala?
That's South America as well, isn't it? So
yeah, I think
Peru's South America.
Yeah, big South American audience. Yeah. Do you think that's because of the style of music, or has your style changed a lot since the early noughties?
Yeah, because that stuff is more like house music. It's like electronic house music, whereas all the stuff I do now is quite down tempo.
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi, exactly. It is very much like that.
I know.
So it's weird. Yeah, it's who knew? So,
who knew?
Big in Peru.
King P, big in Peru. That's it. Future. If you make it in Peru, like I don't know how you'd find it. I wonder if you would be able to kind of get in touch with someone in Peru about coming to do a gig.
I think I should really. Shouldn't that be a challenge?
Start putting some feelers out, see what they say. Speaking of making it big, I don't know if you've heard of this company called Marvel.
I think so. You know, I think someone might have mentioned them to me. What they do?
Well, they do. They do like super Marvel. They do some superhero stuff, but they've got like an offshoot called the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Chain of cinemas. Is it?
Yeah. No, there's a new series. There's 2 episodes out for Secret Invasion, which I'd started watching the first one, and in my old age,
did you fall asleep?
Fell asleep because I was laying down on the sofa. I've decided now I can't lay down on the sofa and commit to anything because I will be asleep within about 15-20 minutes.
Do you now stand up when you're watching television at all times?
Yeah. So, although saying that, I mean, I was pretty much laying down when I did watch it. So again, round marks after the morning after the night before. Once we'd got a McDonald's breakfast out of the way, which is definitely the best recovery food.
Yeah.
Just to add, got in at 4 a.m, woke up at 8:30. What's that all about? Like
hardcore.
That, like wide awake, and then couldn't get back to sleep either. But whatever. So Mark said, "Do you want to watch Secret Invasion?" He'd already seen episode 1, and I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's give it a go." There's only 2 episodes to watch so far. Actually, really good. Now I've stayed awake for it. I mean, not only is the cast incredible, like British actors galore as well. Emilia Clarke, Game of Thrones, that one, big eyebrows.
Yes, I think
she's in it. Oh my God, who's the one at Peep Show? Like Olivia, is it Olivia?
Oh, yeah, I know who you mean. Who's been doing a lot of sort of period drama recently? Yeah, that one, isn't it? Coleman.
Olivia Coleman, yeah, that's the one. She's really good in it. She's in it. Obviously, Martin Freeman's in it for a little bit. No spoilers. The only downside I would say of it, Samuel Jackson is really starting to come across quite old now. I don't know how old he is.
He is though, isn't he?
Can you do a quick search on that? Can you do a quick search?
I think he's 70 something.
70. I'm going to guess. Yeah. If he's 78, I wouldn't be surprised. Silence as my
74.
Sorry, wow. Samuel. If you are listed,
but to be fair, he's doing good. Like for a guy of 74, you think you're doing all right.
I mean, the fact he's still in it, that's a great sign. Yeah, and he's still doing movies and TV shows. But there's just a couple of bits in there where all of a sudden he just raises his voice without needing to be. And I was just a bit like, I genuinely sat there and laughed at one point because thinking, I wonder if that's his age that's made him just burst out.
He's getting confused.
Yeah, bless him, Samuel. But the funny thing is, the story kind of follows on from, I think, Captain Marvel, which I've still never seen because love the 1975, hate women. So if you remember,
I've seen bits of it.
I don't really hate women. I love women.
In just the one. No, just as you're on record.
Yeah, as I'm on record, she'll never watch.
It tells you how he lost his eye in it as well.
On Captain Marvel, I probably should watch that then.
A cat did it. You don't need to watch it.
Hence
there you go.
Yeah. Because I did actually ask Mark that. I said, "Well, still, where's his patch? Because he don't wear a patch in this series."
Don't know. Is it empty socket?
No, it's like a blue. It's like a man that's got cataracts. It's just blue. With said scratch line, but it's all about the Kree and the what's the other thing it's called? Skrull. That's it. Who are like them alien people. It's very interesting. Great cast. 2 episodes in, and I'll tell you, mate. First episode, there's a massive thing that happens at the end, and you're just like, holy shit. Because it's very un-Marvel-y. Because it's actually a bit kind of like, oh God, this is quite bleak. Whereas usually they try and keep the death toll down. This is quite big. So I'd actually recommend this. I've already recommended it to a couple of people.
It's the first one in a long while that I thought I wouldn't mind watching it. If I'm honest, I'm still very concerned of, like you were saying, it like references Captain Marvel and whatever. And I know in a couple of end credits you've seen him. I can't remember what film it is. He was in a spaceship or something, wasn't he?
The Saber, yeah.
So I'm a bit concerned that I'll watch it and I think I'm just piecing this together. I can't remember half it, but.
And I am a little bit, but what's good is they have kind of little compilation clips of them films, so you can kind of piece it together.
Previously in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
You know, like, usually at the beginning of each episode, there's usually like some sort of little compilation before it gets into it. That's what I quite liked, because there was them little kind of references to old films and whatever. So there was even a bit during it where it's him turning to dust because of the snap. Because the common theme is that he's not the same Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson. He's not the same Nick Fury. As the one pre-snap. So very cool. Very cool show. I'd definitely check it out. I think it's every Wednesday. I think a new episode comes out. But yeah, gets my vote at the moment.
Interesting. Well, one thing I saw that not have watched, but I saw came out and it was on my radar that it was coming out, is the new Indiana Jones film. But yeah, I mean, and like your face sums up exactly what I felt about it. And hearing now we're making a new one, I remember seeing the Kingdom and the Crystal Skull or whatever it in the cinema. And pulling your face again while I was watching it. So, God.
It's that grit for the listeners. It's that gritted teeth, like, this is awkward. Stop doing that, Grandad.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my problem with it. I'm watching, and this, God knows how long ago that film was. That was a long while ago that they made the fourth one, wasn't it? And you was just looking at his character, who you remember as, you know, this. I don't know. I think it would have helped if, like in 3, was a good film with Sean Connery as his dad and so on. If they'd turned Indiana Jones into like more of his dad's character, fine. Like, no problem. I'd buy into that.
And then had a youngster to carry it on?
Shia LaBeouf was in 4, I think, wasn't it?
And
I think they were possibly lining him up to do it, but he's sort of fallen out of favour a bit now, hasn't he?
Is that a bad thing that I've never seen any of them?
Any of them?
Any of them?
That's a bit of a shame. You should watch the first 3 are great. Like, they are genuinely really good because they're I don't know whether all of them are, but the first one is sort of a collaboration between George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, basically.
Right.
So it's pretty. Did you know the story of Indiana Jones? Yeah.
Old man,
just
whip
goes back with whip. Yeah.
Kinky bastard.
He is a college professor in the 30s, I want to say. But in his spare time, he steals treasure, basically. So he goes and finds these. I think he's an archaeologist, and he goes and finds these rare things and gets them.
So he's a criminal.
And he gets tied up with the Nazis in the first film because they're stealing all these treasures from Egypt and so on. They're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant films. I mean, they're very old now. I think the first one was 82, I want to say, or 84, something like that. So really old, but still great films. But the thing is, he's the action character. Like, he's the man who's jumping from thing to thing and fighting people and stuff like that.
And in the 80s and even 90s and possibly early 2000s, if that was when the fourth one came out, I can't remember.
I think the third one was probably, was that mid-90s, maybe? So you're a long while.
But even still, I mean, we're just joking about Samuel Jackson being old. Let me just...
I'm just about to Google. Harrison Ford.
I'm on it. Harrison Ford. Can you have a guess? How old do you think?
I've just read it, so I can have an accurate guess of 80.
Well done.
It's fine.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what I mean. So he would have probably been 78, 79 making this one.
Yeah, one's buying it.
That's what I mean. It takes away that realism, I think.
Yeah. Well, with this, I know absolutely nothing about the new film. all I know is I read today that it is an absolute flop at the box office. The film cost, wait for it,
Oh God.
$295 million is what
That
they spent on this thing.
that is close to the amount I spent on Saturday night. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Big.
go. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they will see some of that, unlike you. We'll get a bit, they'll get a bit of it back, which is
I got a bit of
60
it back, but not in a good way.
No, 60 million is
Wow.
what it took in the box office on the first weekend. So it's not
Honestly,
looking good. But
that is mad, isn't it? Like when you think about that, how much these movies cost to make now.
well, it says to do with it. It's one of the reasons, I don't know whether this is true, but I think one of the reasons it cost that much is it included CGI technology that de-aged him. So I don't know if they used it all the way through, that they were making him look slightly younger, but it's a bit of a joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I just think it falls into that bracket of, yeah, fair enough, there are people of my age that have seen the first ones, but if we don't really care about it, like, and the young people, like even like you're younger than me, you've not seen the first ones, and there are considerably younger people who won't have seen the first ones. So, who are you marketing this to? It's just not.
I think we've seen this a lot, haven't we, over the last kind of 5 to 10 years? I mean, certainly since we've been doing the podcast, we've mentioned it loads, where there just seems they just want to cling on to something, and these films were well ahead of their time when they came out.
Which
and
it says
go on.
Raiders and Lost Ark came out in 1981. Was that one? So if you
and that's what I mean. So I think they just try and keep trying to get as much kind of squeezing out as much as they can from this kind of franchise. And it's the same with all of them. I think the difference is where you've got, I mean, even we talked about Star Wars. Star Wars continued to carry on, and they'll try and, keep hold of a bit of that nostalgia.
Isn't that what Disney said? They're holding back a bit on Marvel and they're focusing a bit more on Star Wars. I'm sure they said that not that long ago. Now we're going to chill out on how many they were putting out of Marvel and whatever. But you know what? Even I'm a big Star Wars fan. Even with Star Wars now, apart from you felt like they were hitting the right notes with the Mandalorian. But even now, like with that, they could probably put that to bed now. If I'm honest, you've had a few series of it, like the Boba Fett thing, wasn't that well received? Or
until Mandalorian came into it. Yeah,
exactly. And what was the other one?
You got Ahsoka coming.
That's coming out, and
unless it's already out, I'm not sure.
I don't know, but again, we don't know. It's like, how big a deal is it? It's just
like it's overwhelming actually with how much they bring out, and that's why I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why I'm quite interested in Secret Invasion, because it feels like it's been a while since we've had a Marvel one.
Exactly that. Yeah.
If you just keep, if I'm living my week to week on a when's the next thing coming out, it becomes a bit boring, I think. And like you said, I think all right. Indiana Jones isn't one that's been coming out relentlessly, but with that's just keeping hold of something for the sake of hoping you're going to make a mint from it, I guess.
He's digging up that dead horse and trying to make it run. I think is what it is.
Harrison Ford is 80 now. Like, I'm sure he does other films, and as he's got older, like that character, like his acting style is going to change. He's not going to be an action hero anymore. He's 80 years old, for God's sake. So make him do other films.
I think the sad thing is, and I don't know how this one ends, but I imagine because it's got Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in it. I'm predicting, and I don't know whether this is correct, that he dies at the end, and then they're going to try and line it up that she's then the new whatever. It's just all so predictable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But interesting. I'd like to spend a little bit of time just to reflect on Series 13, because I think it's been it's been an absolute pleasure, this series, having the guests that we've had on.
Really has.
Apart from Mark. Mark's standard, isn't he? But, you know.
He was filler, wasn't he?
He was just the filler before the pièce de résistance, which is tonight. Any particular highlight for you, Series 13?
I think one highlight would be Mighty Yell, because that was a long time coming. And but I said in the episode about how much I love that game, and genuinely I do. It wasn't just for the guests that I was saying that. That is a game that I bought the day it came out and have played loads. And speaking someone who was firsthand involved in doing that was just an absolute pleasure to do.
Yeah,
it's not often you get that opportunity to do that and have that sort of interaction.
No, I agree.
That was brilliant. I think the other highlight for me as well was having Jim Zena on, and that was from a very different point of view of Jim Zena being someone and sort of Half Lost Hills, people I've known for ages, but purely via the internet and purely via message. So like that being the first time I'd ever spoken to Jim Zena, although I've known her for God knows how many years now, like at least 3 more, much more than that probably, which was really cool. Sort of, putting a voice to the
that was a unique one actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And fascinating, but as well, sort of hearing about how she got started and so on. What were yours? Would you say?
I mean, again, each episode brought its own kind of little highlights, didn't it? I think, but I mean, the Rick English one stands out just because of the films that he's been in. I mean, to have that
and his anecdotes, like, oh yeah, I did this, and I was Batman, and
whatever. Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise. It's just the fact we're talking to someone who's been in that sort of environment and around them sort of people is just incredible. So he
peeking behind the curtain. That's what it feels like.
It was. But for me, I think my favourite probably, and they've all been brilliant, so I don't want to discard or disregard, should I say, any of the others. But the UK Foo Fighters, because I don't know, there was something about that episode. I mean, me trying to keep up with them drinking whiskey was hilarious. But also just how genuinely nice both guys were, and
such great guys.
The actual story about kind of what they've been through with one of our favourite bands, the Foo Fighters. Plus as well, because I just wasn't sure how it was going to go, because I know you're not a huge fan of cover bands, but I think they're different because they try to it's not just sing, it's not like karaoke, it's not like me singing Arctic Monkeys and pretending to be whatever his name is. It escapes me this second. Alex.
I can't remember it. Alex Turner.
Alex Turner, that's it. Between us, we are one. But they almost embody the Foo Fighters, and it's that kind of the look, the sound, the performance.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Their passion for their fans and putting on that show. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's amazing.
Actual moment of this series had to be, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, for a moment, this was incredible, when we had Highland G on and we started talking about the 3D printer, and he said, I just made this, and pulls out this massive...
I started with this incredible full-size replica sword. Yeah.
Mad. I mean, bonkers. But no, all the guests have been brilliant. We've had a lot of fun with Anniversary Spread. You did manage to win the last one.
I did better this season, I think. I did better.
Yeah, I thought there were some really close scores in this one. And I mean, you've carefully titled the end of season 13 as The End. We will be going on a break at the end of this.
Yeah. James and I will be going on a break.
We are going to have a break. We won't talk to each other for a while. And we'll be back kind of around early to mid-August, I'm guessing, because we're now in July. I'm going on holiday. I need a break from you.
Yeah.
Not going to Australia though, so that's good. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what season 14 brings.
Exactly.
Have you got anything else that you want to say, Matt?
No, apart from thank you to everyone else that's participated, and you know, the people we've had on throughout the seasons, and you know, Highland G is a good example of that, who has supported us for a long, long while and has participated in all the episodes, and it was amazing to get him on because we've been trying for a little while to sort of coordinate that, and it's so rewarding that people turn up every week to share what we do. So yeah, that's a big thank you to that, and yeah, just can't wait to see what happens next season and who we meet then, because it'll be cool.
Yeah, and don't forget, as we've said before, if you have missed any of this series, you can go back and watch it. But not just that, the new addition to this series, which everyone's been talking about, is Twim Extra, where we've been doing a little 10 to 15 minute video afterwards. They've been hilarious. Some of them I've literally been crying watching back. A bit like me saying about recording what happened the night before. It's almost a bit like that when you watch it back afterwards and you just wetting yourself. So not literally.
If you haven't watched it, do watch it. It is me and James letting loose, I would say.
Yeah, it's almost like, you know, like they used to have like the after dark stuff on some people's even on certain TV shows and things like that. You might have had like the later hours version. Yeah.
Or
I mean,
or the American Pie unrated version. It's a bit like that. But yeah, me and James don't get naked. No. If you would like that as a part of the next season, please leave a comment below.
Yeah. So keep an eye on the socials. We will still be active on there. We'll be talking about some news that's going on, and yeah. As Matt said, thank you for being part of season 13. And we will see you in the not too distant future. Take care.
Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe on your favorite service. Past and future episodes can be found on all major streaming platforms, including Amazon, Apple, Google, Spotify, and YouTube. You can also contact James and Matt via Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. They will return in the next This Week in Metropolis.